Cancel culture is everywhere. One mistake and the world is ready to turn its back on you. But what if Jesus offers a way that doesn't just call out mistakes, but actually transforms people? Today, I'm going to show you the difference, and it might just change the way that you view the whole world. My name is Zechariah Loka, and today I want to address the topic of cancel culture. This horrific social environment that thrives on public outrage, on shaming people online and completely cutting them off because we do not agree with what they say or what they do. And maybe you're listening online right now and you know either you've been cancelled or you know of someone that has been cancelled and bullied online. Maybe you know of a celebrity. An example might be Johnny Depp or Sydney Sweeney or J.K. Rowling, Brendan Fraser, all very popular celebrities that have been cancelled because of what they have said or done. Now, I'm not here to pass judgment on whether they are guilty or innocent, but they are good examples of being cancelled. And I do not believe that we as humans should react this way when someone makes a mistake. And I actually know that Jesus modeled a way in which we should do this. And it is called kingdom culture. And it goes directly against cancel culture. And today, I want to teach you all about it. Kingdom culture is rooted in grace and redemption and speaking the truth in love. And today I want to show you how kingdom culture responds to mistakes, also what cancel culture gets so wrong, and why switching to Jesus can literally affect your relationships and your mental health. In order to talk about kingdom culture, we also need to address cancel culture. And you know what's so wild about cancel culture? It's not this new thing that's arisen because of social media and phones. Actually, no. People have been dragged into public spaces, publicly shamed and even destroyed in front of large crowds of people for thousands of years. And actually, in the Bible, we're shown a really powerful story of this happening in the Gospel of John, chapter 8. So let's start there. So picture this. Jesus is in the temple. He's teaching a crowd of people, could be dozens, could be hundreds, we don't know. They're all in awe of the amazing wisdom that he is imparting in that very moment. And bang, out of nowhere, these loud tussling and screaming probably happens as the religious leaders of the day grab this woman, pull her in front of all of these people and throw her at the feet of Jesus. And they say, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. By the law of Moses, it says that she should be stoned to death. Now, what do you say, O great teacher? They challenge him as if to try and catch him out. This isn't a gentle thing. This isn't respectful. The poor woman is probably half naked and indecent. And here we see cancel culture in its raw, purest form, right? Public humiliation. Shame as a weapon, as a sword, as a dagger to someone. And also punishment with no room for redemption in that moment. But Jesus does something so incredibly countercultural in that moment. He doesn't jump into the outrage. He doesn't react. He doesn't play by their rules. No, instead, he gets down on his knees and he begins to write in the dirt. He kneels, and we don't know what he writes in the dirt. And to be honest, that's the point. That is the point, because sometimes the smartest thing that we can do in a moment of cancel culture or public shaming is refuse to be dragged into the noise. Refuse to be a part of what everyone else, that bandwagon that they're all jumping on. And then they are continuously asking, come on, speak, speak, speak. And eventually he gets up. And he delivers one of the most famous and beautiful lines ever recorded in human history. Let the one who is without sin throw the first stone. And suddenly everything stops, right? Why? Because the irony is this. The only one in that crowd that was without sin was Jesus. And he was never going to throw the stone. He refused to throw a stone. And the Bible says that one by one, the accusers, they walk away, condemned under the weight of their own hypocrisy, right? And then Jesus, what does he do? He turns to the woman and he says, "Where are your accusers? Has no one condemned you?" And she says, "Evidently not." And he says, "Neither do I. Now go and sin no more. Go and leave your life of sin." That's kingdom culture. Not shame, but grace, right? Not destruction, but restoration. Not you're cancelled, but actually, hey, you've made a mistake, but you're called to be higher than that. By the way, Jesus doesn't ignore sin. It says very clearly in the Bible that sin separates us from the love of God. But Jesus, he never uses sin as a reason to erase people. He doesn't cancel them. He redeems them. And that's the difference, guys, between cancel culture, which throws stones, and kingdom culture, which actually says, no, I'm going to help you to stand back up. The story in John 8 reveals a powerful truth in our lives that actually calling out sin doesn't change people, but calling people up out of sin does, to be redeemed and restored. Jesus, he meets her where she is, right there in that moment. He doesn't leave her there. He offers grace and truth, mercy and transformation, a fresh start and a new direction. So important. And that is what our world needs today. The first powerful truth that we can learn from this story is that kingdom culture loves to expose people, to publicly shame and ridicule them. But Jesus is all about restoration. Now I want us to take a little time quickly to think about someone in your life that you know that has been exposed, whether it's a friend or a family member or someone close to you, and ask yourself, were you part of that exposure process, that cancel culture process? And how us, from reading this story in John chapter 8, how can we encourage you to be more like Jesus in the way that you call people out in love? What does that look like? Maybe your friends made a mistake and you say to them, hey, what you did here isn't great. I'm not going to go tell everyone, but what you did here, it's not who you are. I know that you are better than this. I know that Jesus has called you to this standard. And I know that if what can I do to encourage you and stand alongside you to make sure that you don't make this mistake again? Encourage someone, help them to see their mistake and to learn from it. The second powerful truth that we can learn from this story is that cancel culture defines us by our failure, whereas kingdom culture and Jesus defines us by our future. There's something horrible about cancel culture that says, what you've done here, you're finished. You're done. You're kicked out of this group, or you're out of this family, or whatever it might be. But Jesus actually says, no, your failure is not permanent. Your failure is the starting point of your transformation. Something about Jesus saying, no, actually, you made a mistake, but here I am in the midst of it, and I want to help you to transform your life and walk alongside you. A great example of that would be Peter in the Bible, right? Probably he made lots of mistakes in the Bible, as we can see. He was a man, a human man, just like you and me. And probably the most notable one is that when he denied Jesus, right? He betrayed Jesus on the night of his crucifixion, or as they're taking him to the cross, they're taking him to court. And he says in the Passover, hey, Jesus, I will never deny you. I will never betray you. And he goes on that night to do it 3 times, and the rooster cockerel crows. And right then he's filled with guilt and shame. And that could have been the end of Peter as we know it, right? He could be like, oh my goodness, I've let my master down. My failure is evident. Now my Savior has died. Then Jesus gets resurrected. Incredible. But even after Jesus' resurrection, he might have doubted himself. But no, we see a Peter that becomes rejuvenated from that failure and ends up going to establish and build the early church in the book of Acts. It's such an incredible story. How failure can be a starting place for us to transform, and how Jesus is walking through us every second of the journey. And my third and final powerful truth from this story in John chapter 8 is that cancel culture demands perfection from us, but actually Jesus offers us a process. Goodness me, we are not expected to be perfect overnight. By the way, Jesus is the only one that could ever be perfect, but it is a process, a gradual journey of life where we do make mistakes, and having that willingness to go back to God, to Jesus, and say, Lord, I'm so sorry that I sinned. Please, would you forgive me? But also, would you help me to not sin again, right? There's something about growing in strength and God giving us the strength to stop doing that particular sin, whatever that might be. The great truth in this is that there is grace, but we also need a balance of truth. And we see that in the John chapter 8 story. We see grace as Jesus is refusing to condemn this woman in front of everyone, refusing to stone her, refusing to humiliate her. But equally, as the accusers go away, he says, hey, go and sin no more. He recognizes her sin. The truth is that sin separates us from God and we need to stop it. But there's a beauty about bringing a kingdom culture accountability with love. That's the key ingredient, love. You love that person. He loved his daughter and he wanted the best for her life. So he offered her grace in that moment, but said, hey, you need to stop doing this, all right? And that is why Jesus doesn't demand perfection from us. There is a process that we need to all go through, and that includes me too. And as we bring this video to a close, I want to give you just one more piece of advice. And it's a bit of a shocker, to be honest. Guess what? Cancel culture did not start on the internet. It started as a problem in the human heart. As we've read the story in John chapter 8, what we come to realize that Jesus won't cancel you. He won't cancel me. So my question is, why are you canceling others? I hope today's message has resonated with you. It's inspired you to use how Jesus would react to someone making a mistake, to apply it to your own life, to show someone grace and truth and not cancel them, not publicly shame or ridicule them or humiliate them, but actually be someone who speaks the truth in love in every situation. So, Christians, I speak directly to you right now, right? The world has had enough outrage, like for real. So let's be the people who show grace and truth and love, because these are the things that truly will affect and change the culture of the world. And for all the non-Christians viewing, you are so welcome here. So amazing to see you here on this channel. I just want to tell you, if you've ever felt cancelled by someone, right? Just know that through this story in John chapter 8 that we've just read, Jesus doesn't cancel people. Jesus won't cancel you. He loves you. He has a plan for your life. And if you're up for it, he's inviting you to a fresh start. Now, I just want to ask, will you give him a chance? And if the answer is yes, and you need any help, please do reach out to me. I'd love to help. And if you want more videos that help you to follow Jesus in the real world, hit subscribe. It really helps me to reach more people with these messages. God bless.